wabarakatuh. In this video, we are going to discuss one example about projectile motion. Specifically, we are going to discuss a horizontal projectile motion. In the horizontal projectile motion, the initial angle theta of the object is 0 to the horizontal. Let's look at the questions. A movie stunt driver on a motorcycle speeds horizontally off a 50-meter high cliff. How fast must the motorcycle leave the cliff top to land on a level ground below 90 meters from the base of the cliff where the cameras are? Ignore air resistance. The first step to solve this problem or any physics problem is to visualize the problem. In other words, we need to translate the words into a diagram. The diagram below shows the rider on top of the cliff. However, this diagram is not useful if we did not label important information given in the questions. Let's label the diagram. Now, the first thing that we need to label is the x-axis and y-axis, or the coordinate axis for this problem. So we have y-axis and x-axis. The path of the motorcycle is parabolic downward. Now, given in the questions that the cliff is 50 meters high, so the height of the cliff is 50 meters from the top to the ground, and the motorcycle land 90 meters from the base of the cliff. So that is 90 meters in x component. Now we always know that the direction of acceleration g is always downward, and that is 9.81 meter per second square. After we visualize the problem, it is crucial to list all the knowns and unknowns value given by the questions. List the value on the diagram. Do we list it correctly with the correct sign convention? No, not yet. Let's try to identify known information given by the questions. The first information given by the question is the displacement in x component, or x. Now, given that the distance between where the motorcycle lands and the base of the cliff is 90 meters to the right, so that should be positive. The acceleration on the x component is 0 meter per second square, while the displacement in y component is 50 meter. Now, it is not positive 50 meter because the displacement is below the origin. So we need to correctly put a negative 50 meter as a known information. And of course, the value for g is 9.81 meter per second square. And since the motion is horizontal projectile motion, so the object initially moved in x component. There is zero velocity, the zero initial velocity in y component. So uy is equals to 0 meter per second. So that is a known value. How about the unknown value? Now the unknown value could be more than 1. Let's try to identify the unknown value. In these questions, we could see that there are two unknowns value. Now, the first one is the target itself. How fast must the motorcycle leave the cliff top? The initial velocity is in the x component. So the first unknown value is ux, because that is the target. And the second unknown value is the time taken from the top to the bottom of the cliff. So again, time is also unknowns. Since we have two unknowns value, we know that we need two equations to solve the problems. We choose the equation by referring to the knowns and unknowns value and try to determine the correct equations to solve the problems. So let's try to choose the correct equations for these problems. The equation that can be used in this problem is Sy is equals to uyt minus half gt square, and Sx is equals to uxt. Now, we use the equations because t is an unknowns value. So first, we need to find t before we find our target ux. Now, let's solve the problem. To find time, we use equation Sy is equals to uyt minus half gt square, in which uy is a known value of 0 meter per second. So the equation becomes Sy is equals to negative half gt square. Let's substitute all the information that we already listed before. Negative 50 is equals to negative half times 9.81 t square. Now use your calculator to solve this equation for value t. Now if you answer it correctly, time is equals to 3.19 seconds. So we haven't answered the question yet, but now we already have the time. To calculate the initial velocity, we substitute time is equals to 3.19 seconds into equation of x is equals to Sx is equals to ux times t. Sx is 90 is equals to ux times 3.19. So solve this equation for ux. The unit for ux is meter per second. So the answer for ux is 28.2 meter per second. That's all for this video. Thank you for watching.